Thousands of children and families in Marion County struggle with issues like poverty, substance abuse, or mental and emotional illness. Many local services exist to help families in crisis, but families often don't know about these services or can't get to them. Unmet needs can result in child abuse, neglect, or juvenile delinquency. The Early Intervention Planning Council, through the Marion County Commission on Youth's Early Intervention and Prevention Initiative, has created a plan to give families earlier access to services in the hopes of reducing the number of children who get abused or neglected or turn to delinquent acts. We hope you enjoy our monthly program, Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities, and learn more about the local services here to help you.
Hi, I'm Shana Martin, Director of the EIP Initiative at McCoy. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities. Today's topic is focused on depression, seasonal depression, and stress. The holiday time is upon us, which often creates and brings up a lot of stress for folks for a variety of reasons, and we'll talk about that. And also seasonal changes. It's getting to be winter. It's dark in the morning when you leave. It's dark in the evening when you get home, and your days seem shorter. There's not a lot of sun. It's clouds, and sometimes people just feel kind of and so talking about how normal that is or not, and how people can address that. So we have some wonderful guests here today. Katie Keesling from Mental Health America of Greater Indianapolis.
Yep, Greater Indianapolis.
Okay, and then William Bauzo from Adult and Child. So I'm going to let you guys just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your organization and what you do there.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm Katie Keesling. I'm Director of Education with Mental Health America of Greater Indianapolis. Sorry. We focus on education, advocacy, and intervention for mental health and mental illness. We have different programs. We do outreach programs, public programs. We run a crisis line, and then we also have guardianship services for long-term and chronically mentally ill adults.
Okay. Thank you, and welcome.
Appreciate
you being here this
morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
And my name is William Bauzo again. I'm a team leader with the Marion County School-Based Program with Adult and Child. So I work overseeing 8 local schools, their mental health programs. And I also work with 17 amazing individuals, therapists and skills development specialists who work with children who have emotionally disturbances, and who have just a variety of different mental health disorders. Our agency actually is an amazing place to be. Adult and Child services a variety of different populations. We work with kids with our wraparound program, which works with the most high-risk kids. We work with adults around the city, working with a variety of different issues, from schizophrenia to depression, anxiety. We also work with a foster care program as well, helping connect foster parents with foster kids. So.
Okay. And real quick, do you want to just say what schools you are involved in, or what schools you provide services in?
Yes, we provide services in a variety of different schools,
okay.
And different school systems.
Okay.
So from Wayne Township, Indianapolis Public Schools,
okay.
to Greenwood. I mean, you name it, we're there.
Okay.
But mainly in the south side of Indianapolis,
okay.
and in the Greenwood area.
Okay, and that's great to know, and I just asked that because I know there may be parents that are watching that don't realize that there are mental health services available in the schools, primarily from our community mental health centers. So whatever schools you're not in, Gallahue may be in one,
yes.
Midtown Mental Health may be in one, so for parents to utilize that as a resource also. So let's talk a little bit about depression. Kind of what is it? Who does it impact? How do we know if somebody's struggling with depression?
Go through some symptoms?
Kind of loaded questions, I know.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, there's just, really a spectrum in terms of depression and really how people are affected with depression. A lot of people present with irritability, especially in children. Very interesting that with adults, folks become very, very tired, fatigued. They become very, obviously very sad. With children, you often see more anger and irritability. And it's something that is often undiagnosed because you don't really correlate anger with depression. You more or less correlate it with sadness.
Yeah.
So those are some of the symptoms that you'll see with folks who have depression. and oftentimes just want to be in dark rooms, want to be kind of left alone and isolate.
Just to add to that, just that, withdrawing from friends and family, losing interest in things that you previously enjoy, especially in adults too, of just that feeling of it's just hard to get out of bed, and you can't do things that you enjoy, just that lack of energy too, are all signs.
Okay. And how many people are impacted by depression roundabouts? Do you guys have any statistics or?
Definitely, yeah. 16.2 million folks in America suffer from depression on any given year. That's about 6.2% of the population.
Okay.
1 in 33 children have clinical depression. 1 in 8 adolescents have clinical depression. Oftentimes, women are often more prone to depression than men, which is really interesting. I found some amazing facts about how depression affects folks who have depression. Oftentimes can have a heart attack, and if they have a heart attack and they're still depressed, they're prone to have more issues. So it's very, very interesting, that fact.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was reading about that, about how stress and depression kind of go together, but then so does physical illness and obesity and heart problems and high blood pressure, and all of that is all kind of tied together, which, this show is all about prevention, and it's just interesting how things are so tied together, and preventing one thing or just living a better lifestyle, healthier, being more connected to people, all of that sort of helps prevent lots of things down the way.
Right. Yeah, just that overall health of just, taking care of your mind and your body, really do all connect to each other.
So what is the connection between stress and depression? Again, because we're heading into the holiday season, which for a lot of people is a challenge, either because of lack of family, financial poverty, trying to provide for your family while also dealing with all the pressure of Santa and Christmas and, winter, increased heating and bills and electric bills and stuff. So there's just a lot of stuff that goes on at this time of year. So how does the stress of having to manage and deal with all that and tie into depression, or depression increases that? How does that all fit together?
Well, it's kind of circular, one can feed the other. If you're prone to depression and you have stress in your life, that stress can make your depression worse. Or if you have stress in your life and you're prone to anxiety, it can make your anxiety worse. Or on the other hand, if you're prone to anxiety or depression, that can stress you out. That's not fun. That that can impact your life. So it's kind of the circular they're all connected together.
Definitely. I mean, I concur. I mean, it's definitely, you have different types of stress, chronic stress, acute stress. Chronic stress is taking care of a family member who may be dealing with some sort of severe disease or condition, like Alzheimer's, for example. That can really cause a lot of chronic stress. And then acute stress is dealing with a transition in your life, being told, you're going to do something a day before, that can kind of be stressful for you. But these really affect how we can become depressed. The more stressed you are, the likelihood of depression in your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to address kiddos that if we see signs of depression or stress in kiddos? You talked about anger, irritability, which for adults sometimes we think you're just kind of acting out, or you're just being silly kid, and we don't really look at it for that. It could be a little bit more.
Yeah, with kiddos, I mean, you definitely, like I said, want to look for irritability, a lot of anger, shutting down, defiance as well. You oftentimes see kids, cry controllably for no reason, and really don't want to talk about it. I think the key with children is to help them feel comfortable with whomever they're working with. If it's a therapist, if it's a skills development specialist, if it's someone in the community, a mentor, even a church leader, really kind of tying in those supports and making sure that that person understands that the child needs to feel comfortable with someone, needs to have that ability to connect and to help that child really kind of open up to be able to begin to work with that depression and help that kid really feel better. I think play is the biggest tool that we have for children.
Okay.
That is their language that
Yep.
they use, play, and so if a child can have fun and enjoy, because children are resilient, they're very resilient, so they definitely can bounce back quicker than actually most adults.
Okay.
So we definitely want to focus on children and how they are so resilient, because it is a strength that us as adults can learn from.
I think the other important piece, especially when we're with talking about kiddos, is that when you see that big shift in personality, when you have maybe a kiddo who used to be a little bit more laid back or easygoing, and then you see that shift towards the irritability, the anger, that can be a sign that, just again, looking for that big personality shift and something that seems out of unusual for a kid that, used to be act a certain way and then it's changed.
Okay. What about for adolescents? Because you're dealing with, hormonal changes and all of that.
There's a lot going on.
So how do you know that it's what's normal and what may be signs that you should be concerned and where it may be more a depression type situation?
I mean, it's difficult. I'll be honest with you. With adolescents, even more so than children, just because adolescents tend to avoid conversation, and obviously, if we can't, converse, you can't really, tell someone that you're sad or that you're going through struggles. And oftentimes, we see a lot increase in suicide rates in adolescents, which is something that is not uncommon, and it's unfortunate. Because the signs are really difficult to see. It's almost, you have to engage the adolescent. You have to really focus on keeping that connection. Okay. And oftentimes it's difficult because they want to do their own thing. Yeah. They want to be on the computer or playing their games or on their smartphones or interacting through social media. So it's a challenge, and trying to find ways to help them can also be a challenge. But I think, like I said before, connecting, making sure parents connect with their children, ask them questions about their day, really engage them to look for those signs when they are depressed. Like I said, if they want to isolate, kind of be in their room, make sure everything is dark, those are kinds of signs that you want to look out for. Fatigue, overeating, or even undereating, depending on the time of the year. During the winter, we tend to overeat. During the spring and the summer,
I'm guilty.
But during the spring and and the summer seasons, oftentimes we see the opposite. So even insomnia, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You wake up in the middle of the night and you hear the TV on, or you hear them talking on the phone, late night. It's not uncommon, but these are kind of things you want to kind of look out for.
I think the other thing too, or even listening for, things that they might say, that they might put in conversation that, you don't think too much about, but saying things like, things are hopeless, or I don't, I just kind of, things like I just want to go to sleep and, just not wake up for a while, or things don't matter, or it doesn't mean anything to you. I mean, listening to those signs that they're giving you, that sometimes, especially as a parent, you might hear, or you might, you're busy, you've got a lot of things going on. So just being really in tune to what your kids are saying, as well as things that they're doing as well. If they've been really active in, school activities or sports, and they start to withdraw from those activities, that can be a warning sign, as well as, if you have a child, like William was saying, who just wants to spend a lot of time in their room in that dark space, pay attention to that and be in tune to that. As well as, I think, just for any parent, whether you're dealing with a child that you suspect might be depressed or not, I think it's a good thing just to be able to have conversations with your kids about mental health and mental illness, just to normalize that and to let them know that, some people are going to suffer from those inflictions, and that's okay, and that there's help, and there's, people you can talk to. That if that ever becomes an issue for them, that there are resources and there are people that can help them with that.
That's a great point.
Okay. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about resources and support in a minute, but I just want to touch on the seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Doing my research. But kind of what that is and what that looks like.
Well, definitely. There's an acronym for it. SAD. Which I think is very appropriate. Seasonal affective disorder affects us all. It's not something that, you know, you can get away with, especially living in the Midwest, living where it's really cold and it can become really gloomy during the winter season. It you know, affects folks just like depression affects us. The symptoms are very, very similar. Understanding that it is for a time, for a period, is very important. Knowing that you know, you'll get past this. Really socialize with folks. You know, try to reach out to folks when you're dealing with seasonal affect disorder. Really try to you know, do fun things even during the winter. There's so many events that go on during the summer and the springtime, but there are events that happen during the winter as well. And you know, the lights on the circle, you know what I mean? That's something that you can do. There's just a lot of different things to get out of the house or go to the mall. Or, I mean, you want to try to stay active. Go to the gym, exercise. You can go to a local hardware store and buy a UV ray light. There's specific lights you can purchase, and you can ask the folks there if you're not sure exactly, you know, which brand or which type to buy. That really help if you sit under them for 30 minutes a day to really counteract the seasonal affect disorder. Because really, what is it? It's a deficiency in vitamin D. And so we definitely, you know, you can take supplements. You can exercise increases endorphins in your body. It relaxes you, makes you feel good, and gives you energy. During the winter time and with seasonal affect disorder, we tend to, you know, have the winter blues. So we need to have energy, because what does the winter blues do? It just drains us, and it makes us fatigued and tired. So. And
when it's dark and gloomy outside, it's just as easy to stay warm and cozy.
Right.
For days and days.
Yeah. You want to hibernate. You know?
It makes sense.
The bears, they got it.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Well, and to add to what William was saying, of encouraging people to get out and be active, but you know, there are little things that you can do as well just at your house. Things like when you wake up in the morning, when, you know, again, it's so hard to get out of bed, it's so warm in bed, but just to open up your curtains and to let some sunlight in. You know, get out if it happens to be snowy, you know, just get out and maybe, you know, sweep your walk or shovel a little snow. It's just getting out and just, you know, kind of breaking up the routine of being in the house and feeling isolated. The other thing too, and sometimes technology can be both a blessing and a curse when it comes to mental health, but on, you know, the blessing side of, if you know, technology allows us to reach out to friends, you know, even if you don't necessarily feel like you can get out of the house, maybe just a phone call or even a text can just, you know, help you feel connected to other people and kind of the outside world as well.
Definitely.
Those are good.
I concur. Snow angels are great too.
Yes, they are.
They are.
Sledding is great.
Yeah.
And usually it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
You know, snowball fights. Come on, we're kids inside. We need to have fun, and we need to get out, even as adults. But engage our children. You know what I mean, and have fun with them outside. You know, get them all geared up and do cool things, and you know, with the snow and the outdoors. I mean, it's cold, but you know, we still have to have fun and enjoy and really try to get out as much as possible. That's the biggest key, I think.
Yeah, and I'd say in a brisk walk around the block.
That's
even
perfect.
when it's 30 degrees, layer up, just a quick tour around the block. It opens up everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that coldness kind of refreshes you.
Yes, it is.
Or if you've got, you know, a pet or a dog, you know, get out, take them for a walk around the block. It's a great way just to, you know, get out, kind of break up the routine again.
Yeah. So the Children's Museum is another great place for kids and families to go during the wintertime. I know it's one of our favorites, and lots of room, lots of space for the kids to run and explore, for parents to get out and maybe meet up or connect with others. And there's still the free Thursdays that they offer, and then during the holiday time they have a lot of other free time. So it's always a good resource for kids and families.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll add to that, just, you know, even going to the mall, you might not necessarily need to be shopping for anything, but it's a good indoor space. You know, you see the older people who are mall walkers. But, you know, it's a good space to let kids just kind of get out and, you know, walk around just to get out and see something a little bit different. As well as public libraries are a great place. Oftentimes they've got programs during the day. They do story hours, you know, bring in different groups and do activities with kids. So that's another great resource to check into.
So there's no excuses for us to get out and about, even though it's tough. It is tough, and it's gloomy. I lived in, just real quick, I lived in North Carolina for a few years, and I remember the first winter I came back home, and I kept saying, like, where is the sun? Where is the sun?
Exactly.
My dad said, we mean it's winter, but I got used to living in a state where it is sunny a lot, and I never realized that it does really make a huge difference. So being in the Midwest and being in a state where there really isn't a lot, you have to kind of be intentional and force yourself to get out. And even if it's not sunny, to take that walk and to get out of the house and to go visit somebody or do something.
That's a great point. It's just, you have to make this a priority.
Yeah.
It's so easy to kind of forget to do these things or kind of forget to engage in those activities that are going to make us feel a little bit better. But, just make sure you make it a priority. 10, 15 minutes a day can make a difference in how you feel. So you're right. Just to go to that point, it's just, remember, be intentional about these things.
So what are some resources? We've talked a lot about kind of what depression is and stress and how they work together and what this looks like and some of the symptoms, but how do folks that are watching this, if they have a child who is struggling or they are concerned about, and if they themselves are struggling or have some concerns, what are some of the resources and supports available, both from your organizations and other general community ones, if you don't mind sharing some of those?
Definitely. Yeah. Well, adult and child, like I said, comprehensive health care.
Okay.
If we actually have an open access program that just started recently at our 8320 Madison Avenue location down south, where anyone can go in at any time, and if they're feeling depressed, anxious, whatever they may be going through, child, adolescent, adult, elderly person, doesn't matter. They can come in during business hours and be seen by someone immediately.
Okay, great.
That is something that we're really trying to focus on at Adult and Child, is really getting services out there in a timely manner for folks who need it. We don't want you guys to be on a wait list or wait, months to see someone for medication or for to see a therapist, But there's a variety of different resources, not just with Adult and Child, but out there in the community. There's a lot of community mental health agencies out there that really provide great, amazing services, and they're great partners that we have. If you have access to the internet, Psychology Today is a great resource.
Psychology Today.
Yeah,
Okay.
psychologytoday.com, where you can find outpatient therapists out there that if you want to go to a specific location in your area, say you have private insurance, Medicaid, or any other types of insurance, they really can link you up based on the profile of the therapist, what they provide or what insurances they take. It's just a really great resource to utilize.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
To add to that, if you do feel like you're having those signs or symptoms of depression or another mental illness, if you have a family doctor, primary care physician, check in with them. They can be a great first resource. They can get you linked up with therapy sessions if that's the route that you need to go, or even medication. They can prescribe in their office and they can help you out with that. I think they're a great resource, especially, and then also with kiddos too. If you have a student or you have a child that you're worried about, look to your school resources. People like William and Adult and Family who are out there to help. But really look into your family or to your school resources. And then another piece that William sort of mentioned, the websites. There are all kinds of apps out there. And again, like I said, sometimes technology can be both good and bad with mental health. But there are so many apps, especially surrounding anxiety or depression, to both help to track your symptoms, as well as, if you're suffering from stress or anxiety, there are all kinds of breathing apps that just kind of help you remember to slow down and take deep breaths. And, and those are quick things that you can do. Maybe you're sitting in traffic or, before you go to bed at night. Those are just some quick things to kind of help as well.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I concur. At Adult and Child, we use mystrengths.com.
mystrengths.com,
and it's a great resource to be able to track, like she was saying, track your if you're feeling depressed, track your symptoms.
Okay.
Track how much exercise you're getting. Track if you've gotten out today,
Okay.
track what you're eating as well,
Okay.
because eating does affect us. We tend to focus on carbohydrates when we are, having the winter blues. So that can really kind of hunker us down and make us want to sleep some more. So I would say, stay away from the carbohydrates, even though they're comfort foods, but, or limit them at least, you know what I mean? And try to eat some more, vegetables, fruits, things that have, great vitamins and minerals that can help us keep that energy flowing and going. Yeah.
And then just to add one more piece to that, if you're ever in a place where you feel like you've been having symptoms, or you feel overwhelmed, or you feel like you're stuck and you're in that crisis situation, we at Mental Health America of Greater Indianapolis do run a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, so we're there 365 days a year, any day, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., we're there. We run a crisis phone line, and you can reach us 317-251-7575. And again, it's always a live person on the other end, and we're there to help. We're there to help, just listen and to hear what's going on with you, and then also to offer resources and just specific things. Get you hooked up with what you need to move forward. And again, that's a 317 area code, but we can take calls from anywhere, statewide, nationwide.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and sharing all of this wonderful information and for normalizing this. That this is depression, seasonal affective disorder is something that impacts a lot of people in a lot of different ways. It looks different for everyone, and so it's nothing to be ashamed of. There are lots of resources and supports out there, and you never know what your neighbor may be struggling with, what your mom and dad may be struggling with, what your cousin may be, and so it's just being connected, it's being open, it's talking about stuff, and it's always encouraging others and yourself to take care of yourself. I like your information about just being healthy, being active, eating right, vitamins. Sometimes it's that. It may not even be emotional. It may just be your body is saying you need something you're not getting, and so it's looking at your diet. It's getting more exercise, which again has kind of been a theme throughout this. When we take care of our whole selves, a lot of times it makes things a lot easier for us. So thank you again, Katie and William.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Great information, great resources, and hopefully all those who are watching today will have learned something and can take something away. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.